The outcome of the police investigation into Partygate may take a while, and the timing of it depends on whether the people involved decide to accept a fixed penalty. That's according to Sir Peter Fahey, who used to be the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, the third largest police force in England. What kind of penalties could Boris Johnson particularly face?
Well, really, anybody involved. It depends on which particular point of the pandemic the offences occurred, because the fines were increased as the months went past. But at most, it's really what's called a fixed penalty ticket, which means you have to pay £60 or normally £100. If you don't want to accept that, then the police would then have to refer it to the Crown Prosecution Service, and they would have to decide whether it then goes for a prosecution in the Magistrates' Court, where they'd have to hear the evidence and then decide whether somebody was guilty or not. But we are talking here about very minor, really, offences, in terms of the whole of the criminal law. And that is why, for a long while, the Metropolitan Police declined to actually investigate the matter, because they said normally there's no way we would investigate a relatively minor offence like this 2 years after it happened. We've got lots of other much more serious crimes to investigate. But I think because of the level of public concern, they decided to intervene.
Some people I've spoken to have some sympathy for the Prime Minister, but the majority of people are outraged. That's probably because most people follow the COVID-19 regulations, although at times it proved difficult to police.
For British policing to have to limit people's freedoms, to go out and take exercise and be away from their home, or how many people were gathering within a house, this is on the whole very alien to the way that British policing operates. And then absolutely, as time went on, there were challenges to that. So, there were a lot of operational challenges. But I think, having said that, what has caused a lot of this public anger and frustration for the police is the vast, vast majority of people obeyed the law. The vast majority of people, when they were challenged by the police, cooperated and went home or stopped doing what they were doing. And those that were told, no, sorry, this is more serious, and were given a fixed penalty ticket, largely accepted that, and accepted that they should have done better, and accepted that this was part of a national effort. A lot of people, as you know, are extremely emotional about it, because they, weren't able to be at the bedside of their loved ones, weren't able to go to really important parties, anniversaries, weddings, funerals, all those sorts of things. That's generating this huge public anger and concern. But at the end of the day, hypocrisy is not an offence under the criminal law, and the police can only operate with the legislation that was in place at the time.
This Metropolitan Police investigation is separate from the Sue Gray report, which the Prime Minister now says will be published in full. Jane Werrell, NTD News, London.